Welcome to my Wellness Rewired, Hacking Women's Health. Join Larissa and Malerie as they explore biohacking tips for women based on the latest science and research available today. Let them help you unlock your best self. It's time to hack smarter, not harder, together.
Okay, hello. We are so excited to be here today to talk to you guys about why doing less might be exactly what you need. And we're here talking about everyday women who are dealing with careers, kids, caretaking, mental loads, all of the things that are just over pushing us, overworking us, and quietly sabotaging your energy, your mood, your hormones. And so I think the biggest thing that I'm realizing, which is why we decided to talk about this, is that the biggest game changer might be learning to do less. And what we mean by that is really strategic rest and recovery really can be equally as important as all the things that you actively do for yourself, for your health, and for your wellness, right? And so I think that being a busy mom and woman myself, like it's just been crazy as I get into my 30s to see how things change. I can't just push harder, right? And so we want to talk about that today. We've done a ton of research with Dr. Mindy Pelz, with Dr. Stacy Sims, with Dr. Casey Means, and there's a lot of science that we'll cover. And by the end of this episode, we're hoping that you'll feel seen, have a little hope, and be equipped with some simple shifts that you can do that can actually move the needle, especially if you're stuck like me. So let's start with what's really happening in your body when life and workouts feel like too much. And then let's talk about what you can actually do to work with your body instead of against it.
Yeah, when I was in my early 20s, I was in a horrific car accident and it was life threatening. And I had never broken a bone or been in a hospital period for myself in my entire life. And then I was in
Right.
a horrible accident and it broke my back. And my spine was so pulverized that I didn't get paralyzed because it was sand. It was like my spine was so crushed, it was like sand. And so it didn't
Yeah.
sever my spinal cord. That's how close I came to being paraplegic for the rest of my life. So it
It was
was
insane.
very much an eye opener. But if anybody knew me in my teens and college years, I wanted to do everything. I wanted to be involved in everything. I wanted to do everything. I had FOMO. I could not get enough. I wanted to learn. I wanted to travel. I wanted to grow. Like I just wanted it all. And there was nothing I said no to. And I learned very early on in life because of that accident, it forced me to say no to things for my own mental health and my own healing. And so every single year since then, on my year's resolution, one of the very first things I say is love yourself enough to say no. Because if
Mhm.
you overextend yourself, you're not helping anybody. And in an extreme circumstance like mine, it actually and ended up pushing myself too far and getting in a car accident. So it's really interesting how life kind of weaves you through different journeys to force you to learn different things. So I'm
Yeah.
constantly telling all my friends at work and my family, obviously, Mallory has heard this a million times. You have to love yourself enough to say no. So if you are in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and you're experiencing career, kids, you're taking care of your elderly parents, life, and you're just running on empty, but you feel like you're doing all the right things, like this episode is going to be for you because we're going to talk about all of that. We're going to help you lower your cortisol and just give yourself the grace to say no, and it's okay.
Yeah. That accident was insane. And it really did. It really did change things for you, I think, on what you could and couldn't do. So it totally makes sense
Yeah.
where that comes from. That's a very good reminder of your origin story for me. Thank you. But this is a very real thing. And I, being a person, we've been spending the last year really trying to hone in on these hacks for women, these health hacks, experimenting on them, being the first guinea pigs, the things that we're talking about. And so many things have helped me feel so much better. But it's highlighted the fact that you can only do so much. And then you might actually need to do less. And that might be the answer, which is why we're here. And so I just wanted to take a minute and talk about a few of the things that we have personally experienced that you might be too. And it's stuff like being exhausted, even after, what should have been a great night's sleep. It's kind of like that tired but wired feeling, right? Where coffee barely touches your exhaustion.
I hate that feeling.
And um, good days, with energy and peak and like mood peaking together, they're rare. Like maybe for me, I feel like it's maybe once a month that I'm like, oh my gosh, I have energy and I'm in a great mood on the same day.
Really? You think only once a month?
If that, it's bad, Larissa. It's been,
Oh,
and there's
that's
a
really
lot of
sad.
other components that we'll talk about, like my lab work and stuff, but it's been really rough for a while now.
Well, then your sex drive's gotta be in the toilet.
Ain't that the truth? But also just like unpredictable moodiness and my emotional capacity a lot of days just isn't there. It's just gone. And I'm left wondering, like, what the heck, you know? So, but other stuff too, like workouts take twice as long to recover from. Or sometimes you feel like you're recovering from a workout when you didn't actually work out. It's just weird
Mm,
stuff that is like
yeah.
something is not right, you know?
Well, it's interesting, our dad always said this over and over again growing up when I went through life trials, this accident being one or my divorce being one, like all the different trials I had that really humbled me as a person.
Yeah.
He would always explain that your emotions is like a bank and stuff. And so if you keep withdrawing from your bank and you don't ever like give yourself recovery, then you're going to go in debt. You're going to be withdrawn and it's going to eventually catch up to you. So
Yeah.
that was such an interesting visual for me, and I've always enjoyed that throughout the years. Like when I feel like going, I'm like, I need to stop and I need to deposit some emotions back into my emotional bank and make sure I feel safe and secure and all of the things. Because you can't just keep withdrawing from your bank, your emotional bank. Otherwise, it starts impacting your cortisol goes up and impacts your brain fog and your sleep and your mood and your sex drive and your relationship, your mood swings. All of that is very
Food
interconnected.
cravings,
Yeah.
wine cravings.
Well, those cravings are because you need to feel safe and secure and, in control of something, so it's like your life may be crazy. So you're like, okay, I'm going to feel good right now and have this glass of wine, or I'm going to feel good right now and eat this cookie.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And really what we're finding is this isn't just, you would think, oh, you're just getting older, you're just aging. Or in my case, I'm thinking I'm not trying hard enough or I'm doing something wrong. But really, this is what chronic stress and pushing yourself too hard looks like in real women's bodies every day. So we just want you to know you're not alone. If you're feeling these things, you're in the right place. We're having the right conversation and we're here with you. So,
We'll all suffer together. I mean, we'll all heal together.
yes, both, probably both. But it is an interesting conversation to talk about what all of these things mean, because all of these things can mean something for you. The number one thing being, you nailed it on the head, Larissa, chronic high cortisol. That's really one of the biggest drivers for a lot of these things. The wired but tired feeling, being in your fight or flight mode for too long, it disrupts deep rest, it disrupts muscle repair. So that's going to make a big difference on your workouts, recovery, things like that.
Well, then you're not really ever rested enough to really recover and replenish yourself enough to go back and do it again.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And studies link higher cortisol in midlife women to poorer memory, focus, and cognitive flexibility. So we've talked about this before. We actually did an episode about cortisol, and a lot of this stuff is coming up again from a different angle, interestingly enough. And so I feel like this is just a giant cortisol reminder for me.
Literally.
Yep, absolutely. So turns out though, as we've done this research, this really isn't rare. Like working moms with full-time jobs and kids, they show 18 to 40% higher chronic stress biomarkers than women without kids. And so there are a lot of factors. I would imagine that this would even apply to women who are like taking and have a lot of the responsibility, just that sort of load. I don't even think it's kids that does it, right?
I was just
But
gonna
that
say
is
those
the
people who are taking
statistic.
care of their elderly parents,
Yeah.
that is like having kids, but on the other end, and that could
Yes.
be very stressful.
Absolutely. So,
And let's get real. Sometimes our spouse, our significant others are like kids. So,
an extra
so,
child occasionally.
so they might be more work than kids actually are. Just kidding.
Oh, we like to laugh. Anyways, I feel like the big reveal for me, right? The big like aha moment is that even the healthy stuff that we do, your really intense workouts, tracking everything, pushing through on the low days, they're actually quietly adding to the load when life, stress is already high. And we have to be aware of that, right? Because it can create this
Mhm.
perfect storm of elevated cortisol that's really keeping you in survival mode. And then that leads to just storing extra fat, slower recovery, mood tanks, lower libido. And it can just make you feel like you're fighting yourself in all of this too.
I don't like the storing the fat part. Actually, I don't like any of them, but the storing the fat part, I can visualize doing that because all your emotional trauma, it's just stuck in that fat on your body.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Most women need to like realize too, you're not lazy. It's not a lack of willpower. You're not lazy. Like sometimes your body is brilliant and it's giving you different signals, and you just have to slow down enough to listen to it and really hone in on it and be like, today might be your luteal phase, and you might just need to recover and just rest. The week before your period, you should not be doing that many stressful things. You should
That
really
is
help your
very
body.
true. And I think about when I was younger and in college and stuff, like if I felt like crap, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I got ice cream and I sat down and I binge watched movies or I painted my nails. I took the time naturally. Like I didn't even think about it. And then just having a career and kids and all these extra responsibilities, it's like I forgot to take care of myself and all of that. I really honestly think that's what it is.
And then you need to give yourself a hug and I feel safe and it's okay. And you don't have to do all the hustle. And then
Yeah.
your body will react and be like, okay, now I'm gonna have a good day. You can hustle today because I'm rested and I'm ready for it. I'm resilient today.
Yeah. Use your symptoms as data, not
Yeah.
necessarily as failure.
Yeah. Which I
Because I
think a
feel
lot of
like,
women do. I think we are
yes.
self-criticize ourselves really hard, and we need to be gentler with ourselves and realize we're dealing with a lot.
Oh, it's so true. I was just going to say that. I was like, we turn on ourselves so fast and are so self critical that it's crazy how quickly that happens. But really, we got to be gentler on ourselves and remember that even though life is more stressful, we can't overdraw our bank account, right? Like you got to
Yep.
keep that reserve. You got to keep some funds in there to take care of yourself.
Ooh, did I do the metaphor this time?
You did do the metaphor this time.
That's not my alley. That's definitely your alley. So I was like, "Oh, you just referenced that." And
You did it
actually,
without even thinking.
it was our dad. So really, he
Oh,
gets the
thank
credit
you,
for it.
Dad.
But all the debits and all the withdrawals, it does elevate your cortisol, and so then it raises your risk of heart disease, which we know is a huge number one killer in women, which is
Yep.
crazy to me. I still can't get over that
I know we're
because
never going
that's
to stop talking about that.
I know
So
it's so sneaky. But I don't think many women realize that it is such a huge issue for women specifically.
I don't
I
think so either.
associate heart disease with men.
I do too. It's why it's still so mind-boggling to me.
But
Something we
but
need to reverse and address. That's all I'm saying.
yes, yes, and it first comes knowledge, and then we can reverse it. But
Exactly.
the cortisol affects your heart disease, your high blood pressure, your metabolic issues, which could be insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes, a weakened immunity, which I think a lot of women deal with, bone loss, which is scary as you get older because you already do that naturally, hormone imbalance, like all of your sex hormones, right? Like your thyroid, your
Mhm.
estrogen, your progesterone, and accelerates aging. Who wants that? Not me.
Yep.
And even more mental cognitive decline, which is also something that is scary. Since Alzheimer's, two out of every three people are
For
women with
women.
Alzheimer's.
Yep. Yep. Heart disease and Alzheimer's, man, they're brutal on women. So just understanding how much elevated cortisol raises your risks and your odds to develop these things,
Mm.
it's why we keep coming back to this because even for me, this is something that I'm thinking about. This is something I'm currently struggling with that I'm currently trying to address. And I will say, status update, everybody. We've been trying to figure out our HRV, raising our heart rate variability because the lower it is, the less healthy you are as far as like resilience to stress and heart health and all these considerations. Well, I have officially, drumroll please, doubled my HRV score.
Oh,
I know.
wow. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
Oh my gosh, I know. It took forever. And you know what I think it was is I've just been doing all the things that we talked about, like the circadian rhythm and the prioritizing sleep. And I've been resting more intentionally. And I've probably been doing this for a couple of months now. And it's just been, it's like all of a sudden a switch flipped and it started to just rise within a 3-week period.
Oh, I
So
love that.
I know. So I do think it's working is the point of that is I think actually building some awareness around this and making space for myself is helping. So
Yeah.
there's hope for all of us.
Well, if there's hope for you, there's hope for all of us. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes. If I can do it, anyone can do it. Let's flip that.
That's so funny. Women are very unique, and we have a unique physiology, and we have a unique way of handling our stresses. So we really need to listen to our own body and not fight against it.
There's definitely ways to work with it. I'm going to reference what Dr. Stacy Sims says, and she says that women are not small men, even though we act like it sometimes. And so if we understand our unique physiology and learn how to work with it, then we can, who knows what we can do? Like that changes the narrative entirely and feeling better and having more energy. Watch out, world. You know, women are going to be doing so much more. So,
Well, it takes you out of all the research that's just men focused and like, oh, you should be able to do this. You should be able to do that. That's not true because men and women are very different. First of all, we have a ton of hormones. We have a whole cycle. We have so many other things that they don't have to deal with.
yes.
So you can't compare those. So now once you take that out of the narrative and you completely take those studies that way and you just focus on women, now all of a sudden it allows for the space to open up where you're like, okay, this is best for women to do this and, you know, and to take your time and to recover and do various things when you're under cortisol, fight or flight. So it just opens up the doorway to have that conversation on what is really right for women to feel their best.
And I think one of the biggest things, right, is, and we can go into it in a second, but I was listening to this podcast and I cannot remember who the specialist was, but she was talking about how she's like a CEO of a company or something, but she has learned to stack her workload running this company based on her cycle. And so she was being interviewed and they were like, well, how do you do that? And she's like, really like during my follicular phase, you know, the beginning of my cycle, like I'm going to hit things really hard. That's where all my meetings are. That's where all my brainstorming is. That's where all these things are. And then when I get into my luteal phase, she's like, I reduce my workload expectations by 30%. She's like, I postpone or I move calls, like, and she just reduces it by 30% just to give herself space to be in that part of the cycle that she's in, right? Understanding that her body's doing something different during that time. So it was really fascinating to listen to, and it totally makes sense.
Well, it's honoring herself and so she can be successful around and instead of like trying to measure up to something that is not even our physiology. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The men, it's like, no, we're different. We run differently and we can run great because we can be very effective in a very short amount of time.
Absolutely. And it's not like she's just not showing up for those 14 days. She's reduced it by about 30% so that it's understanding, you know, limitations or like at least just giving herself time to rest and recover a little more and then hitting it harder in the first half. So it's like, it's just adjusting the workload to make sense for her physiology. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I just love that it's getting attention and I love that people are starting to talk about it so that other women can feel that that is safe and that is okay to do and that is healthy for our bodies.
Yes, I know. It's so exciting. It's so exciting to have the conversation out there. It makes me happy. So with that in mind, we have put together the 5 highest impact, but lowest effort shifts that we think that all of us could make. This is what I should be making. This is what you could make if you feel like you're in the same place that could make a big difference.
Mhm.
And the first one is protein-rich start to your day. This is the #1 morning game changer. So the idea is that within 30 to 45 minutes of waking, you want to eat. And this is to support better cortisol management, right? Because we know based on the cortisol episode that we did, you want your cortisol to be high in the morning and then it tapers off as the day progresses. And you want it to be low at night so that your body switches over to producing melatonin so that you can sleep at night. So this is the daily cycle that we go through. And having a protein-rich breakfast in the morning, 20 to 30 grams of protein. And as we know, based on glucose revolution, right, you want to have a little fiber with that for your glucose curve management as well, can blunt any big, giant spike of cortisol in the morning. It's going to stabilize your blood sugar, have mood improvement, energy improvement, and just really set you up for better recovery at that
Yeah.
point.
Fiber and protein is a great way to start your day.
Yep. Keep it easy. Doesn't have to be
Or when
fancy.
you open your window, I should say.
Yes. Yeah. And Dr. Stacy Sims recommends doing it early, like that 30 to 45 minutes within waking. If you're having a stress issue, right, a cortisol issue can be critical. She just says it's one of the simplest things that women can do to set themselves up for better recovery.
Yes. And then our second thing is one of my favorite things is daily walks in nature or fresh air. And this is something that you have to be very intentional about because your days can be so busy that it could be gone. So you have to really be intentional about it. And 20 to 30 minutes most days, 2 10 or 15-minute walks or 1 30-minute walk, it will lower your cortisol, reduce inflammation, boost your mood, and it will help you build resiliency and without adding additional stress. So outdoor time is especially powerful, but you do have to be intentional. So along with glucose revolution, if you ate lunch, go on a 10 or 15-minute walk after lunch. When you have
Yep.
dinner, go on a 10 15-minute walk after dinner, and you're helping your glucose not spike, and you're also getting your mood boost with fresh air and nature.
And
And you
helping
could
with your
be,
stress management, right?
yeah,
So,
and you could be listening to a podcast.
like us, have us in your ear while you're walking.
We'll be your friend.
We'll be your walking buddy. That is true. And it pairs really well with our third option, which is shift your workouts if you're working out very intensely, like running, high intensity interval training, these things. Shift to strength training 2 to 3 times a week. Ditch your chronic cardio by focusing on weights or body weight strength, and then keeping your cardio to just walking. And this is the scenario, again, where you're feeling depleted, you're not recovering, you're having high cortisol. You need to have some recovery time. You kind of just shift to strength building and overall movement throughout the day. You can keep some high intensity interval training if you love it, but you would have to add more intentional rest between efforts. So here's the why on this. This is going to build muscle, which raises your metabolism. It's going to lower your cortisol over time. It's going to preserve hormones far better than the intense cardio when you're stressed. So this one could be huge.
Yeah, I agree. And that it was kind of like a shocker for me because I'm so used to being raised like cardio burns calories. And so
Yes.
I need to do cardio more than I need to do weight training.
Yep.
So this has been a hard shift for me this year to do, but I see so many more results. If you focus on muscle building, the more muscle you have, then the more you burn. So ironically, you're burning even when you're not working out. So it's interesting shift. So I like that one.
Yeah, I do too. This has been an interesting shift for me because, after having my third, I lost some weight. I lost about 40 pounds and then I've just been stuck. I just haven't been able to. And I'm stuck in this cortisol vicious cycle where I'm too stressed and then I don't have enough muscle. So my next step is just to build muscle to get to that peak optimal health. So this is what I'm doing, guys. So
Again, all of our episodes we do selfishly related to something that we want to work on for
we
ourselves.
are selfish. We do selfishly do that. That's literally the inspiration for so many of our episodes. It's either us or like a friend or family member.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. All right. So our fourth thing is to prioritize sleep and true rest days. And these are non-negotiable. So if you're under a lot of stress and your body's giving you that signal, you need to slow down in your luteal phase. Progesterone is high during this time and it wants you to rest. And in most cases, snack. Just kidding. But you could do hormone feasting food, which will help your hormones balance out naturally. And so you
Right.
want to be very consistent with your bedtime, 7+ hours. And I'm religious with this. I am gonna I get up early for work and I go to bed early. So a lot of people know don't even text me after 8 o'clock because sometimes it's between 8 and 9 that I'll like crash out. But I've been doing that for years. My body is definitely in tune to sleep. So anywhere I am at 9 o'clock, I'll start getting sleepy.
That is very true. She has always been like this her whole life,
Yep.
just for the record.
Do help you sleep. If you are struggling, like we've said before, magnesium is great. Ashwagandha is great. Try to do more natural based ones and really make sure you wake up and see the sunlight right away first thing in the morning because that helps set your circadian rhythm. And if you could see a sunset, which I very rarely do, but Mallory does a lot, then that is also great for that. And make sure that when you are sleeping, you sleep in a dark, cold room because that's supposed to help with your sleep. And no
Mhm.
screens, like the what they say, 2 hours before bedtime. So
Oh,
why
man.
this matters? Poor sleep keeps your cortisol high. You can't recover. Mallory once said this at the Disneyland metaphor. Disneyland is great during the day and you have this magical experience. And then you go home and a whole nother crew comes in and cleans out all of Disneyland, but cleans up all the rides, sweeps, cleans up the
Yep.
trash. And so that's what your body's doing at night. It's literally coming in and taking out all the trash and getting you set up for success for the next day. So if you don't have good sleep hygiene and you don't do it consistently, then there's no way your body can really recover and be productive and effective for the next day. So good sleep is the fastest way to reset your body and get it ready for success the next day.
This is so true. And this one is interesting because really what you're doing with prioritizing sleep and rest days is you're giving your body safety signals where your nervous system is a wreck and you're just in the fight or flight and you're stuck there and you can't get out of it. You really have to give yourself days where you're like, hey, you're safe. Cocoon, nest, like this is a safe place, like you can relax and you can rest and you can recover. And that's what sleep does. That's what slowing down in your luteal phase does. That's what intentional rest days do. It's like a spa day. It's like going on vacation. It's that same sort of feeling, but you're doing it regularly at home in your life, you know? Okay, the
Love it.
last one is add gentle nervous system supports. This is stuff we've talked about in the past. Pay attention to your circadian rhythm. You want morning sunlight first thing when you wake up, 5 to 10 minutes outside, get some sunlight in your eyes. This is going to set your circadian rhythm clock. And it sets that clock to when your cortisol starts and when your melatonin kicks in. Simple breath work, that's another one that you can do. And an optional one, like Larissa said, magnesium, ashwagandha, or rhodiola. Like these are supplements that can really help with cortisol management. So these again send you your safe messages to your brain and body, and that calms your fight or flight, HPA axis. This is actually my playbook for how I am managing the place that I am currently finding myself. So join me, guys.
All right. Love yourself enough to say no.
This is Larissa's signature phrase that I have heard a million times over and honestly really needed. Whenever she says it, I'm like, you're right. I need it. It's actually amazing. And so we decided to talk about it in the context of giving ourselves some rest and some intentional breaks. I think that we default to yes and push harder, and we need to love ourselves enough to say no. I think it's brilliant.
So I'm going to give you a scenario. Sick kid, bad sleep, but I should still do my 6 a.m. intense workout for discipline.
See, this is where the self-disciplinarian in me would be like, I know you're exhausted, but you've got to show up for the person you want to be. And that's where it gets really hard because you want to push and go. But sometimes you got to love yourself enough to say no.
And really, you could balance it out and say, if you're in your luteal phase, then you're like, okay, I'm in my luteal phase. I'm going to do 30% less. So instead of maybe working out for like 30 minutes, maybe you're going to work out for 15 or 20 minutes, So maybe it's like you still do it, but you just do less of it. And maybe instead of doing an intense section, then you could do ab workout or, something that's a little more.
Or you prioritize sleep and you just do a shorter workout later in the day. Because then you're still showing up for your workout, but you're not losing sleep. Because that's the big problem there.
That's true. I just would never work out at night. So,
Well, by later in the day, I mean like your lunch break, not like
oh, okay.
at
I was like,
night. Are you
oh, no,
crazy?
no. I was like, I do not work out at night. I'm ready to
Me
wind
neither.
down and go to bed by 8:39.
Yeah, I'm off the clock when it comes to exercise. 3 p.m.?
I'm much
Okay,
more of
probably not that early, but
I'm much more of a day person.
but what I'm saying is instead of a 6 a.m.
Yeah,
intense workout, right, you could do a 15-minute, something on your lunch break
yeah,
as a
yeah.
compromise where you're like, I still want to show up as the person who works out every day, but I need to love myself enough to know that I can't get up at 6 a.m. when I had a bad night of sleep with sick kids. Like, you have to recognize what you're up against and show up for yourself and have your own back. Friend asks for help. It's a bake sale, a carpool, a last minute favor. You've got a full schedule. What do you do?
I'm horrible at this. I would always say yes if somebody asked me.
I would too. That's a hard one
It's a
because you
hard
want to be
one.
there for people. And if they're reaching out to ask you, they really need it.
Yeah,
So that might be one that you prioritize saying yes.
yeah. Be like, well, and I guess too, it depends on how high your cortisol is.
And it depends on what the favor is.
Yeah, and how intense the favor is.
Because if I'm just like giving an extra kid a ride home from practice, that's cool, But
Yeah, that's
okay. So
that's
that one, maybe not.
yeah. That one I feel like could be doable depending on the favor.
Yes.
Okay, next scenario. Exhausted at 8 p.m., but tempted to answer emails, scroll, or squeeze in a missed workout.
This one's hard for me because, again, I am so busy that I always feel like I'm behind. And so the temptation really is there, right? It's there.
It's very, very, very there. But on this, I feel like there's always going to emails. It's always going to be there.
Right. It'll still be there tomorrow. So I feel like this is one you really do have to love yourself enough to say no, because if you make the intentional decision to step away from it all, to put it down, the mental practice of putting it down and just letting it be can be very freeing as far as like getting out of your fight or flight and into rest and digest.
It's really, too, back to James Clear, the atomic habits. Like, you really need to build the atomic habit in for yourself. I do not look at my phone or computer past 7 o'clock or, 2 hours before your bedtime, whatever that time is, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever works for you and your schedule in your life. You're more of a night owl, so your time might be different than mine. So it depends on when your
Yes.
bedtime is, and so work it in, but just like build a habit that sets you up for success that you don't even think about. Oh, it's past 7 o'clock. I don't look at my email past 7 o'clock no matter what,
Yeah.
and
It's
stick to
healthy
it.
boundaries for yourself, right?
Yeah,
Like create a safe space for yourself. That is loving yourself enough to say no.
yeah.
Absolutely. So, what's one thing you need to say no to this week so you can say yes to feeling better? And I think we're just going to leave it there.
Yeah, so let us know. Like, tell us what you say no to this week that has changed your life, that has taken a little bit of burden off so that you can really rest and recover.
Yeah, tag us. We want to hear about it for
So,
sure.
yeah, saying no isn't being selfish. It is how we stop fighting our female bodies and start working with them so that we can be even better tomorrow. This is a real shift that brings energy, easier fat loss, and most importantly, bring joy back into our daily lives.
So, what does this look like in real life? Again, let's go back over our basics. Practical bang for your buck shifts. Start your day with some protein. Within 30 to 45 minutes of waking, swap some intense cardio for strength training and daily walks. Build in rest days, real rest days, and protect your sleep. Add simple safety signals, morning sunlight, breath work, magnesium at night, and finally, love yourself enough to say no. The one extra thing that I will say is that if you're having a lot of these things that we talked about, a lot of these symptoms, consider getting your blood work done. Now, I just
Mhm.
got mine done. And that's the interesting thing is that I am dealing with high cortisol. My blood work confirmed it. I do have chronic high cortisol, but I also had a vitamin D deficiency, a B12 deficiency. My ferritin stores are low. And so that explains a lot of my symptoms as well. That's just adding to the battle that I'm facing every day. Right. And so by getting my blood panels done, I can start to supplement those things and address why they're missing, and that is going to just help me in addition to our bang for your buck shifts.
And all of these are really, if you're under fight or flight and if you just feel very overwhelmed by your day to day. If you're having a lot of good days, like it's a different story. You can tackle more challenging things for yourself.
Yep. Yeah, this is just for those ladies that are like me, that are just feeling the struggle a little bit. Like, just consider some of this stuff. Really, we just want to reframe doing less as strategic self-love and body respect. Like, this is a very important thing to remember that some of us really struggle with.
And again, what you said, healthy boundaries, setting ourselves up for success with healthy boundaries so that we're not only teaching our significant others and our family members and everyone else in our life about healthy boundaries, but we honor ourselves by doing that.
Yeah, being the example first, right? Modeling it is one of the most powerful ways to teach it. So pick a shift this week, try it out, notice how you feel. And again, tag us. We'd love to hear about it. And remember, ladies, our mission here is simple. We truly just want to help you know your body and take ownership of your own health, one biohack at a time. Our own family health struggles have and continue to push us deep into this journey. And so everything we've learned has changed everything for us. And now we're here to share it with as many women as possible. So if this episode lit a spark for you, please like it, subscribe, follow us. And if it made you think of an incredible woman in your life, share it with them and bring some real health inspiration to the women in your life. Don't forget to check out our shop. We've got freebies all over the place. mywellnessrewired.com/shop. Not all over the place, in the shop. And we'll catch you guys next time. Oh, let me die first. Okay.
That's hot.
Okay. All right. And ditch your chronic, what's the word? Ditch your chronic cardio. That's a mouthful.
All right. I'm so accurate and specific at everything that I do and say.
We're so scientific. All right, you wellness rock stars. That's a wrap on this episode of My Wellness Rewired, Hacking Women's Health. We've had a blast dishing out the hacks and laughs, but hold up, let's keep it real.
Yep, we are not doctors. We are just sharing our biohacking adventures and learning right alongside you. Nothing we say is medical advice, so always, always check with your healthcare provider before trying any new wellness tricks.
Absolutely. This podcast is all about inspiration and entertainment, not prescriptions. So join our Facebook group for more sassy wellness vibes. Catch you next time.